It seems like psychedelics are legal in some states, not yet. When will it become a little bit more mainstream? And will it be a therapist that has a license to prescribe, or does an MD or medical doctor have to do it?
That's a great question. So as of now, ketamine is available. So any doctor, a gynecologist, a psychiatrist, ER doctor can prescribe ketamine, injections or lozenges or so on. But it's weird right now because there isn't like official training in ketamine.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. V, triple board certified MD and performance and longevity expert. And on today's episode, I bring you a street psychiatrist, a good friend of mine, Dr. Joseph Yee, who talks about the problems of mental health, the problems of our conventional approach to mental health, and how psychedelics can be used to open the door for new treatments and combating mental health. Before we dive into the podcast, if you're new, welcome in. I'm Dr. V, and every week I get to share my thoughts as well as interview thought leaders and experts in the field of biohacking, longevity, and human performance to give you the tools, the tactics, and the mindset shifts for you to get into your Thrive state. If you are new to the podcast, let me welcome you in with a lot of free resources you can get at thrivestatestarter.com. Now, as this podcast is giving you any value at all, do us a favor. It will help us out tremendously if you subscribe to this podcast, engage with this podcast by giving us 5 stars wherever you're listening to this podcast. It really helps the show grow. It really allows this mission of empowering people to remember who they are, to become lit up by life. And it will really allow this energy, this frequency of what we're trying to build to resonate throughout the world. Also, if you haven't already picked up a copy of my best-selling book, Thrive State, you can get it at thrivestatebook.com. And guess what? I just released an AI version of myself. So if you ever wanted to get insights from me or personally ask your questions on how to improve your health, your longevity, your work, your performance, and your potential, go to mythrivestate.com/biohack to access the digital version of me, Dr. V. So on to today's podcast. This was actually part of a series that I did on mental health and emotional resilience, where I interview 50 of the world's thought leaders in this space. And I introduced to you Dr. Joseph Yee, who is actually a psychiatrist, but an integrative and holistic psychiatrist. And in this episode, I hope I am able to shed light on the current limitations of conventional medicine on how we classify mental health and how it is not truly the approach we should be taking when we're looking at somebody with mental health issues. So if you're suffering from anxiety, depression, suicidal ideations, or just not feeling good in life, let this be a doorway and a way to at least unlock your awareness to what might be going on inside and some new modalities that could help you reach your Thrive state in the future. So ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this beautiful conversation with myself and Dr. Joseph Yee.
I am here with Dr. Joseph Yee. He is a holistic psychiatrist and also known as Street MD on Instagram. If you've seen his stuff on Instagram, you will laugh. But I heard you speak at the biohacking conference and the role of psychedelics in medicine. And me going through medical school myself, it's really it's a huge turning point, I believe, for psychiatry. Yep. Because we have symptoms like anxiety. A lot of people feel depression at some point. And it seems like doctors all over the world are just prescribing, antidepressants over the years. What was wrong with that model?
Yeah, well, before we get into that, thank you for acknowledging me as Dr. Joseph Yee and not Jim Quick. Because everywhere around here, man, everyone's looking for Jim Quick. They're asking for, you too, right?
Yes.
We're not Jim Quick.
No.
Just want to make that very clear. So thank you. I appreciate the acknowledgement of Dr. Joseph Yee. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Psychiatry, we've been singing the same song since the 1950s.
Yeah.
It's a lot about symptom and signal suppression.
Yeah.
And I do think that symptom suppression is necessary sometimes. Like if someone's having a hardcore acute anxiety attack, like you need something to chill it out. You try telling someone to breathe during an acute anxiety attack, they'll punch you in the face. So sometimes a little medication could be necessary to chill the intensity, but it's not really the cure. It's not really getting to the core root of the situation. So quite frankly, I've been burnt out of psychiatry for like the past decade. I've been practicing for about 18 years. But more recently, you of course know that ketamine is something that's legal now, being prescribed in behavioral health practices, and it's a psychedelic medication. And then there's also other things coming down the pipeline like MDMA. And it's kind of crazy because I used to abuse the hell of that, back in my music days before I went to medical school. Psilocybin, it seems like a lot of people here at the Bio Conference are using magic mushrooms under the table, but they're all endorsing tremendous like mental health and like anti-anxiety benefits for it. And then pretty soon, in a couple of years, I feel like DMT, the active ingredient in ayahuasca is going to come out soon too. So what all these psychedelics have in common, they have the potential, in my opinion, to help people heal themselves. It allows them to face certain things, certain truths about themselves. And look, facing these kind of things aren't going to be fun necessarily at times, but that's when you could really go deep and go deeper and unravel certain past issues and overcome, evolve, and grow and heal from them. So a lot of what psych meds do is like they're numbing and sitting on our feelings, but psychedelics allow us to sit with our feelings and deal with it. So that's the main difference.
It sounds like we're starting to have a different sense of the root causes of disease, which is why psychedelics might work. So my understanding is look, if you're not going to have good nutrition, sleep, and all those things that I talk about in Thrive State, mentally, you just don't have the capacity to act. But we also have symptoms of anxiety, depression, things like that. It sounds like a lot of physicians are recognizing the role of trauma in how these symptoms manifest, which is potentially why psychedelics seem to be working.
Yeah, and especially with MDMA. And this is a hard pill for me to swallow also, because I've done MDMA and I'm like, whoa, it's like, this is actually going to be used in treatment. But the latest studies are showing that it has a calming effect on the amygdala, the emotional processing center of the brain, and it processes a lot of hardcore negative, threatening, fearful stimuli. And for the people with PTSD, you try talking to them about some of their past and they can't go there, man. It's too much. They get really emotional. But MDMA, by cooling down the amygdala, allows them to go back there and experience something called post-traumatic growth, where they could really go back and become empathic with the situation and themselves with the help of the therapist. And then they could help grow out of that. So it's pretty amazing. But you said something before as far as like fitness and nutrition. I got to tell you, man, as a psychiatrist, greater than 50% of the patients walking in through the door won't need to see me if they just follow basic things that people like you would advise. Let's get some good sleep. Let's eat smart. Let's move our body right. Look at you, man. You're jacked. And connect with the right people. Because you
have lots of sex.
Yeah, exactly. But I see you here, and you're always smiling. You're positive with like you're vibing with all these guys with like good energy, and like that's so important. Good people, good food, good movement with your body, and good sleep.
Those are the basics. Now, there's so many people that feel anxiety, depression now. When do they know they've got a diagnosis? What do they do with these symptoms? And at what point is psychedelics going to be available to them?
Yeah. So, man, there's so many different ways I can answer that. But I want people here to know that symptoms are not a disease, like it's symptoms and signals. How else can your body communicate with you?
Yeah.
It don't speak Chinese, Vietnamese, Spanish.
I'm Cantonese.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were wait.
I was Cantonese, born in Vietnam.
Okay. But you get the point. The body doesn't speak language in that way. The only way it can communicate is with via signals. And a lot of what people are doing now, man, is like, imagine if you're driving a vehicle, right? And the blinker comes on and saying that something's messed up with your engine. People are taking a hammer and flashing that, and the signal's not on anymore, and they keep driving. That doesn't solve the issue, man. Your car's gonna still get jacked up at some point. So I think it's important to like observe the symptoms for what it is instead of absorbing it and saying, okay, I'm crazy. I have an anxiety disorder. I have OCD or whatever. I mean, I guess we got to call it something, but I think that's one of the big things that people fall into the trap of, like constantly saying like my anxiety, my OCD, my depression. I'm always trying to say like, hey, wait, well, hold up. These symptoms are methods of communication, and try to say my experience with anxiety, my experience with depression and so on. So having separated that first, and I feel like if these symptoms are way overpowering you and affecting your chronically affecting your daily life functioning, perhaps if all these other modalities didn't work, maybe psychedelics can be an option for you.
So much to unpack there. We have so many experts talking about different tools for mental health practices. So that's what he's referring to, including exercise, meditation, qigong, movement, all those type of things.
Yeah.
But when we get to that point, it seems like psychedelics are legal in some states, not yet. When will it become a little bit more mainstream? And will it be a therapist that has a license to prescribe, or does an MD or medical doctor have to do it?
That's a great question. So as of now, ketamine is available. So any doctor, a gynecologist, a psychiatrist, ER doctor can prescribe ketamine, injections or lozenges or so on. But it's weird right now because there isn't like official training in ketamine. I don't know if you're familiar with the drug called Suboxone, but it's an partial opioid agonist. It helps people with like opioid addictions, the fentanyl addictions. And at least there's like a 6 to 8 hour training for that, which isn't enough in my opinion, but there's no official training in ketamine. So I got trained in ketamine by someone who got trained in ketamine by somebody else. But it's like a wild, wild west right now for ketamine. It's a mess. So I don't even know who to refer to for proper ketamine treatment. But MDMA, it looks like it's going to be approved in 2024 and psilocybin approved 2025, the year afterwards. Yeah, it's weird because in Oregon right now, they're allowing recreational psilocybin use in a treatment facility center where you got to pay like $3,000 a pop to go there for recreational use. But I don't know if they're going to allow that for official treatment versus synthetic psilocybin that's coming out also in about a year or two. So I don't know which way they're going to allow. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do for MDMA. Is it going to be a psychiatrist prescribing it and then sending it to the therapist's office and the therapist dispenses it? Or is it going to go straight to the patient and then they're going to take a whole bottle in 2 days because they're going to really enjoy the way MDMA feels?
Right.
So that's a very good question. I don't know how to answer that. Yeah.
I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. If you are, I just wanted to let you know, join our community. There's so many free resources and a great community of people that desire health, happiness, human potential, to have more in their life, more health, more energy. And when you have those two things together, you could create more happiness, more abundance, whether it be financial, romantic, all these things in your life. And if you're just starting out, you don't know where to go, just sign up for thrivestatestarter.com, because in there you're going to get a bundle of information that includes a longevity ebook, a longevity and performance resource guide, lecture notes that come from my keynotes at Google, at Fortune 500 companies, all the insights in that keynote in lecture slide form given to you. And then finally, breathwork. I share 3 powerful breathwork exercises to access calm, which really gives you clarity and peace during the day, to access energy if you need to wake up and really motivate yourself, and finally a breathwork routine that you could do every single morning so that you could be very intentional with how you create that day. You can find all this stuff delivered free to your inbox at thrivestatestarter.com. And our community is growing. If you want to be a part of a community of people that desire the Thrive State, that are really in Thrive State themselves and help other people along with that, you could be a part of the community. You can get group coaching from me. We do breathwork sessions, meditation sessions, and you also get to drop in and participate in podcasts in the future. You could find more about the community at mythrivestate.com. That's mythrivestate.com. So check out those resources. You're not going to be disappointed, and please enjoy the remainder of this podcast.
Right. So that's a very good question. I don't know how to answer that. Yeah.
I want to talk about something you mentioned, which was a great analogy in terms of a ski slope.
Yeah.
And the same traps of the ski slope going down. So when we were children in utero growing up, we learned things from our parents, our media, society. We remember things in our amygdala and hippocampus, particularly the things that hurt us, that make us not feel loved and all those things. They seem to form tracks in how our brain functions. And so when anxiety, depression, or something, or some other symptom is there, it seems like there's a track down to that. you had a great analogy of what psychedelic seems to be doing. And why don't you share that with us?
Yes, by the way, that pathway in our brain, it's like engraved in our system. The negative pathway is 5 times more powerful than the positive one. So in order to negate that, it's almost like you gotta have 5 positive memories to negate like a bad memory. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of people where you could advise them to think positive and focus on gratitude. But it's like the moment they wake up, there's like a negative pathway greased up toward the dark side. And the more they focus on that too, it's like that pathway gets more greased up too. So one of the things that ketamine has been able to do is ketamine is called the great disruptor. And so it could kind of like help resets and rewire a new pathway, especially for the first 72 hours after treatment. So if I stick you with ketamine, from that moment for 72 hours afterwards, it's almost like your brain kind of resets. It's like more malleable. And now we could create a new pathway towards a different way of thinking. So I could say, hey, Dr. V, for the next 3 days, I want you to go for a 10, 20-minute walk and just focus on what you want, what you love, what you're grateful for. And then it could help create that kind of pathway so that it's easier for you not to think more positive or more gratitude-like than immediately like, oh my God, I got to take care of this, I got to do that, and I'm hating on my life and so on. So it is a great disruptor, and it can help rewire our relationships to like fitness, food, the way we view our phone and want to pick up the book. So it is somewhat of a biohack, I would say, to help develop new patterns and new thoughts.
And when you mentioned that, hey, within that 72 hours, you've got access to form something new. It's like the powder is formed.
Yeah.
But I think you mentioned something that's very important, which when people take psychedelics in the future, the integration piece is so important because now you got the fresh powder. Now you can form a new path, but you're going to have other things that trigger you, that remind you of the old path.
Yeah.
And if you're not conscious of carving that new path for yourself, it's just going to slip back.
Yeah,
right.
It's a discipline. And funny thing you mentioned that because I have a patient who is a porn addict, but he's coming to see me for anxiety treatment, right? And he has his own sponsor for the porn addiction, all that stuff. So I don't deal with that. He did the ketamine for anxiety purposes. That weekend, he went on a porn binge, and now he's more into porn. So neuroplasticity in and of itself is not a good or a bad thing. It's how you choose to work with that afterward. You're absolutely right. So if you, after getting a ketamine treatment, want to go porn binging, then that's going to be more engraved into your system. You're going to empower that addiction. So yeah, that's a very, very good point that you brought up there.
Yeah. So ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic. So you almost look like, hey, you reset things and then you're going to form new tracks, but you have to be very mindful of the life that you want to create.
Exactly. But see, I can already tell from you, the way you work, the way you carry yourself, your body, man, you're a very disciplined individual. A lot of people in psychiatry, no disrespect to my patients, but I'm just calling them out. This is the truth. They get into their situation because they lack self-care. They're not willing to put the time, energy, and attention into building themselves up. So when I say, hey man, for now, the next 3 days, let's go to the gym, let's try to eat like this, let's read more books or whatever, they don't do it. Most people don't do it. I would say a small percentage of people who do it, they get results. But they don't do it. They expect the ketamine to do it for them, and that's not the case.
I wanted to bring up another topic, which is the default mode network. Many people feel like a lot of those tracks live mainly there. Certainly the brain's very complex, but it's a part of our brain where we learn things and it becomes sort of second nature. We form these tracks. When people do breath work, it seems that they quiet down the DMN. It seems like psilocybin, they've done studies on psilocybin in London where people who are on it also quiet down the default mode network. It seems like that seems to be a major pathway that is in common with a lot of psychedelics that lead it to work.
Yeah, and especially with psilocybin, man, like it's pretty amazing. Psilocybin and DMT seem to work very similarly in terms of they both activate serotonin 2A receptor system. And in doing so, there's a downstream effect where your neurons start growing and becoming neuroplastic. And there's hyperconnectivity amongst different brain regions. So like you, of course, have the visual department, the auditory department, the language department, the imagination department. And with psilocybin and or DMT, you get hyperconnectivity and hypercommunication across different brain networks. And that seems to have the calming effect on the default mode network and the antidepressant effects and the anti-addiction effects. So why that happens? I don't know. And we don't seem to know exactly why, but it is that hyperconnectivity when the brain just communicates more efficiently that seems to have a lot of these like health benefits, mental health benefits. And so that's why I sincerely hope that within the next few years, we do allow something like this to happen in medical practices. But of course, people like my wife and other people are like, oh, but what if these guys are going to be taking shrooms and driving and killing our kids? So that's a fair concern also, because when you're in that mode,
there's definitely, I mean, certainly ketamine we know has been a recreational drug for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, so there is potential for abuse. You know, this is super exciting. I feel very optimistic on how people look at mental health. And it's not, you know, and symptoms aren't something you are. It's not something you have. It's something you experience, and it's your body telling you something. And I think that's important to share. For people who want to stay up to date on psychedelics, when they're going to come out, and if you start to need help, are there some good resources other than your Instagram page that people could turn to?
Oh, I talk about wild stuff on my Instagram, man. I'll talk about pickleball. I'll talk about like getting dissed by people and how to overcome. I don't talk about psychedelics as much, but yeah, maybe I should focus a little about, you know,
We started to, I think.
I actually had this interesting talk with Dave Asprey the other day, because I was like, dude, you know, it's impressive how you know so much about so many different things. And he's like, look, if I really want to kill it on my account, all I have to do is talk about animal meats and I'd be past 1 million. But because I like to talk about mitochondrial health, diet and exercise and all these other things, cold plunges, he's just like, but that's just the way I feel like I'm kind of like that as a psychiatrist too. I like to talk about a lot of different topics. But as far as for a good psychedelic source, Double Blind Mag, on Instagram, and I think that's the website too, Double Blind. They're usually the ones keeping people up to date with all the new psychedelic news. But I don't think they're really big on ketamine. I think they're more on like the ayahuasca and the psilocybin and the natural stuff. So it is what it is.
All right. Well, really exciting stuff. As you can see, very early on still, before everything goes mainstream. For this summit, I know that for the people who haven't gotten VIP passes, he's got a free VIP gift for everybody who's on the VIP. What do you want to share with them?
Oh, so I own a supplement company called Beyond Recovery. It's a mental wellness supplement line. And it's created by me and 3 other doctors who just got fed up with a lot of what mainstream psychiatry and mental health is doing. So we want to create a more natural way of helping people with their mental health. And one of the most important things I want to pitch to people is that it's more important to clean out the bad stuff than to keep the bad stuff and add the good stuff on top of it. If you're eating 13 donuts a day and then you eat some blueberries at bedtime, those blueberries aren't going to do much. You already have too much poison in your system. So to try to get people to detox, I think most people are aware that that's a good thing. Unfortunately, as you can see, there's 143,000 different ways of detoxing. So we want to keep them detox so simple that we created a pamphlet, a detox pamphlet. That's for free, and you can get it on our website for the VIP guys.
All right.
So,
well, get your free detox pamphlet as a part of the VIP package. And thank you for supporting mental health. And thank you for being on this portion of the summit.
and thank you for having me, brother.
You got it, brother.
Thank you.
We're not Jim Quick.
I hope you enjoy that episode of the Thrive State podcast. And if you're finding that this content is really helping you and your family members, please consider supporting our mission and our cause of elevating health, happiness, and human potential for people all over the world. You can do so by making sure that you subscribe to this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family members, and leaving us a 5-star review wherever podcasts are heard. All these things are going to really help elevate the show and to give us the resources to continue to bring more content just like this to yourself as well as the people that you love. If you haven't already, you might want to consider joining our community. We actually have a community where people get to engage with me in group sessions where we do breathwork, meditation, where we do challenges together, really to be able to get us access to health, happiness, human potential, so that we could have longevity and performance in our life as well. You can check out our community at mythrivestate.com. That's mythrivestate.com. And if you haven't already, pick up a copy of my book, Thrive State. It really gives you all the tools, the pillars that you need to create a blueprint to control the energetics of your life. Who are you? How do you show up in the world? The choices that you consistently make create an energy in your body, and you can control this. And when you can control that, you also control the messages you give to your DNA that gives you access, again, to optimal health, longevity, and peak performance. And let me also just share a free gift to you. If you haven't already, please pick up my longevity and performance bundle where I share lecture notes, ebooks, breathwork exercises, and longevity and performance resources at thrivestatestarter.com. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Thank you for helping us grow. Remember always, my friends, that you are your best medicine.